What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me make sure my audio is right. I forgot to check that. Nope. Hopefully that's better. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm just going to do a couple things to get this ready. So let me just get my other screen up here. I'm getting really close to setting up a studio, so I don't have to set this up every time I do this and take it down. Right now I'm in a room, my office, but it also doubles as the kids' movie room and or TV room, I should say. And it's getting to be very annoying to be taking it down and setting it up all the time. All right, let me get this real quick. I'm going to get us the stream over here. I have to have it on a separate screen so that I can do a few fun things like surveys. So real quick, guys, before we get started here, what I'd love to do is have you guys hit the thumbs up, the subscribe and bell icon. That'll get more people seeing this. We're going to hit something, pretty important today, which is why I put a, fire all over the place on the screen. Some of you guys might be like, okay, it's going back up. We're good. All right. We're going to talk about that. But based on how many emails I got, how many comments I got from people freaking out that we're going to zero or it's going way down, you guys aren't ready for this. Okay. I have not even freaked out. I have not worried about anything with the price of silver going down. It hasn't done anything to me. Most of the silver I bought, like 95%, maybe even 99% of it was all purchased way below this cost. So I'm not freaking out about it. Now, I get it if someone's freaking out a little bit because they bought it 128 at the top, or we weren't at 128, 117 or whatever. And yeah, I get it. We're going to talk about that strategy. So we're going to hit those things today. So hit the subscribe, the bell icon, and that'll be good. If you guys are looking for anything, I'll do a quick shout out again to info@milesfranklin.com. You can reach out to Andy. They've been pretty swamped, but they do a great job at things and they do hedge their bets. And so oftentimes I find that they have the best price, and they're, at least every time I've called in, and Andy's told us this when he comes on, that they're willing to beat anybody's price out there. So info@milesfranklin.com, just let them know StackingSurfer sent you, and they'll take care of you guys. I am going to work on getting some starter packages with Andy. I just haven't had the time to work with him to get it done yet. But I want to offer a starter package for anybody that's starting over there to get a better discount, as well as a set of medals. Now, it won't be like your 5-coin thing that happens over at the online bullion dealers. We're going to do something that's probably more substantial. So it's probably going to be more for like a $5,000 or $10,000 purchase to get started with. But I want to see if I can build something in that will help you guys for that. Okay, a couple other quick things. If you guys are interested, I'm willing to do a panel today of people that have been on the channel on a regular basis. So if you guys are interested in coming up on a panel, let me know. I want to do that probably in about a half an hour. And from there, we'll see, what we can do with it. But I'd like to get a few people on here that are subscribers, get a little bit of feedback from you guys. And I want to see what you're thinking, what your thoughts are about this market. All right, so bear with me. I've got to make sure the sound doesn't come over here. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good there. All right. So I do want to do a quick poll because I had some people asking me about this too. So the first poll we're going to do is who. Okay, so let me just check one more thing. I got to make sure I put my do not disturb on, guys. Sorry, I just had to get back from the store with the doggy, and he's doing pretty well. And but he doesn't like going in the car. That kind of freaked him out a little bit. So we got to do a little bit more of that. But let me just put this on so we don't get anybody disturbing us here. All right, and all right, we're going to check one more thing here real quick. All right, let's just put this out. Put a comma over here. All right, we're going to start that poll. All right. GSR to the moon. Okay, I hope so, dude. I would love to see the gold to silver ratio go up higher right now because I would trade some more gold to silver. Not the answer Kenshi's thinking. So guys, look, here's a couple things I want to point out to you today that we're going to cover. I put on my thumbnail, everything on fire. Bitcoin has been decimated more than just about any other asset out there recently. It's been hit pretty hard. Now, what I find interesting is every time there's a halving cycle, about 4 years into it is when we have there's a crash. And that crash in the cycle has been as high as, well, I don't know how high it's gone, but it's been in the 60 to 70% crash range or higher. And that's something that people that invest in Bitcoin are kind of expecting it's going to happen. This time they thought it wouldn't happen. So anytime you think it's not going to ever happen again, it's totally different this time, you're probably wrong, okay? Because I think history continues to repeat over and over. So when you look at Bitcoin, those people that invest in it typically are expecting something like that. Now, people that invest in silver and gold are not expecting these big, huge drawdowns, okay? So that definitely caught a lot of people by surprise. A lot of people that were watching charts, including, Kevin that I have on, I'm going to have him on next week, Kevin Wadsworth from North Star Bad Charts. He's been talking about, we're going to probably get up to about 112 to 117 to 120, somewhere in that range. And then we're going to have a correction down. And it could go as far down as like, say, $55, $50. So one of the things I want you guys to keep in mind is we don't have any clear signal that we're out of the woods yet and that we're completely safe and that gold and silver are going to keep going way up. We could still see prices go down on Monday. We could see them go further down over the next couple of weeks or a couple of months, and they could stay in a range. Now, there's a lot of indication, a lot of people on YouTube saying, hey, it's just going to explode from here and go up. And that's possible too. So what I wanted to do on this show today is I want to talk about the possibilities. So number one, how do you plan for a financial reset? Okay, that's what is happening here. If you guys don't understand that, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can for you guys. But we're going through a financial reset. We're still kind of in the early stages of it. And it can happen very quickly overnight, but immediately when it actually happens. But it usually takes years, if not decades, to do this. Okay. So, if you really want to look at it, the financial reset's been going on since the Federal Reserve came into play and they started stripping the wealth out of this country. And then it hit really hard in 71 when they took us off the gold standard. And then the next thing we got ourselves into troubles with was the pandemic and all the money printing that's gone on. And so each of those things adds to this. And now it looks like we're getting into a resource war with China pretty heavily. I've been talking about that on my videos and even on my live streams for quite a while. So I will probably do another video on that in the next week or two for you guys to go into more details on it, similar to the one I put out last week. Or maybe that was, I think I put that out on Sunday. We are what I believe in the beginning of like a World War III scenario. Okay. Now, I don't say World War III to freak you guys out. I don't think it's nuclear. I don't think it's all that stuff. What I mean by that is we're in a world war. Okay. But it's a different kind of war. It's something closer to like the Cold War that we had. We've got countries trying to buddy up with other countries. So you can see a clear division between East and West. And then you're starting to see, players being pulled into these different groups, the BRICS, and then we don't really have another name for it, but the G7 is kind of the name for the Western countries, but there's a lot more countries than that. You could just call it the West. In pulling countries together for resources and who's going to help and who's going to be on our side, so to speak. And so I do see it being a world war, and it's something that could lead into a kinetic war, which would then be officially deemed World War III. I hope we don't go there. I hope we don't have that happen. But anytime there's a currency cycle, reset that goes on, there's usually a war. The people that have been stealing all the money from us want to hide everything from you guys. And with all the files that are coming out and the emails that are dropping, I think people are freaking out and they're not done yet. So as more of that stuff comes, we're going to have a lot crazier stuff. and we're going to find other people that are kind of crazy going into it. So we're going to see all of that stuff. All right, so I want to jump into some of your questions here real quick, guys. Oh, the poll's looking interesting. So we'll get to that in a second. All right, I'm not going to call everybody out, but I'm going to look for questions. So couple tips on here. If you've got a question you're dying for, super chat it. We'll be able to see it. If you're wanting to donate to the channel, one of the best ways you can do that is by donating through memberships. You can do that and give the gift of memberships to a lot of people. This stream is going to go until about 7, and at that time, I'm going to swap this stream into a members-only stream. So if you're one of the members and you're watching this, we're going to swap it over. As I'm going through this here, I'll probably find some time to send everybody an email letting them know that we're going to be doing that today. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but we have been doing live calls. There's too many people in there. We can't get to everybody's questions, so we're going to do a live stream. It'll be a little easier with more people in it. And if you look at the membership levels, that's not something that's offered. It's just something I've been putting into play. I'll be pulling in the higher group levels to do a one-on-one call. Well, not a one-on-one, a one-to-few call, and as well as your one-to-one call. So if you guys have a time that works for you, send out an email to me. Let me know a few times if you're on my one-to-one mentorship program. And we're going to hit that a little bit later today. So you can also join. If you join today for a membership, it's just a few bucks. You can always cancel it if you don't get the value out of it. But what you will do is roll into that second live stream. All right, so I want to just see what other questions you guys have or kind of thoughts. I'm going to pull a couple of these up, start them real quick, and then we'll come back to them. All right, so a couple quick things. You notice I had Bitcoin, banks, gold and silver, a stock certificate, and a house all on fire. We're going to talk about all those things, okay? We're going to talk about what happens in a financial reset to those. We're going to talk about how do you prepare for it? How do you get your house in order? And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about the gold, silver, cash, food, water, and shelter, and how can you get prepared for that stuff. Now, when I can get a camera person over here, so maybe I can get OC Stacker over at some point, but we'll dive into a little bit more food storage stuff. And how to make it. And I've got some videos for that. I've got a couple people I'm looking to help edit. And if they can help me with that, they can probably help me finish a couple of my videos there. I want to get that out to you guys. You can create 30-year food storage pretty cheaply or inexpensively. You don't want to do it cheaply, inexpensively. And I want to help you guys with that too. All right, let's see. Let me see what else we got here. I'm gonna star a bunch of your guys' questions real quick. The other thing you can try to do is put it in caps. I might catch it, I may not. I went to go get a haircut, and I showed them a picture of what my wife would like my mane to become, and they sent me home. They said I cannot get a haircut for 3 months. So I'm going to grow this thing out for 3 months. I'm going to grow this out for 3 months. I think we'll go full lumberjack and crazy surfer guy for a bit. We're going to give that a try. I want to see if I can get someone at my day job company to actually say, hey, what are you doing? But then again, a lot of people have a lot of facial hair there too. All right, let's see what we got here. So we got a lot of great people in here. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm looking for questions from you guys is what I'm doing real quick here. Or comments. That'll be good for everybody else. Okay, and we'll kind of hit from there. All right, so a couple of quick things. I'm not even going to answer some of Kenshi's stuff that he put in here. Okay, let me see what else I got from you guys. Let's see here. Okay, I am getting these. I'll have to try to get some music that we can put on here that doesn't get banned from YouTube. I don't know how to best do that, but there is a way to do it. They've got some kind of licenses you can bring in. All right, so I'm just gathering a couple more of these real quick. In the meantime, we're going to end this poll over here. And you guys will have to tell me what you think here. So on the poll for the Super Bowl, we've got 53% believe it's going to be the Patriots, 47% the Seahawks. Maybe it's going to be super close for it. So that'll be fun for you guys. All right, so I'm going to try to pull a couple more of these for you guys real quick here, and then we're going to jump into the questions. And Rob's beating all you guys with questions, by the way. All right, so I'm going to hit the March contracts. We'll talk about that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay, a couple things as I'm going to totally try to multitask here for a minute. So one of the things I'm going to just throw out to you guys is this. No one has a crystal ball. When we look at technical analysis, all we can do is we can look at patterns. We can look at what's happened in the past, and we can start to understand, what might be going on out there. So let me pull up a couple screens I want to share with you guys real quick. So let's do this. And you just don't have my pauses real quick. So, all right, here we go. That'll share. Okay. So Patrick works very closely with Kevin Wadsworth, and they've kind of joined forces in a lot of ways to do things. They also do a few things on their own. Couple quick updates. I do have a interview with Kevin Tuesday morning. I'm going to be on another channel of some people that I ran into on. I think they reached out to me on Instagram. So I'm going to be doing an interview Monday night. When I have the details for that, I'll send that out to the community as a post. Look for that. Tuesday morning, I'm going to be interviewing Kevin Wadsworth. I will try to get that interview out on Tuesday. And then Tuesday afternoon, I'll be interviewing Andy Scheckman. I'll try to get that out Wednesday or Thursday morning. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to be going on to Andy's channel, little by little, and he'll be interviewing me. Now, I don't know how much of my family story I'm going to tell on there. I don't know how much detail I'm going to go into, but if I'm going to get into a lot of detail, it'll probably be on his show. So that one's going to be fun. A lot of you guys have kind of a hint of some of my story, but it's something he's been telling me for a long time. I just need to share with everybody. And I get a little nervous about it because, when you fall from grace, it's a little ugly. And it's not just me. It's an entire family. Actually, it wasn't me. I was trying to save the whole freaking family, and I couldn't get them to move fast enough on things. So, we do have that. But I may go into more of the details on that. I might tell you guys a little bit more on the live stream later today, too. All right. So we got some good questions in here. I'm trying to catch up with you guys real fast. So let's look at this chart real quick as I pull a few more things over here. So what I wanted to share with you guys is first look at the comment over here to the side, gold versus stock market, big picture. Looks like we are, and this is on Patrick Krim's X post. Looks like we are getting that third reaction on the possible very important breakout line. Best year still ahead for gold and silver, not behind. So what you're looking at is you've got a line here that's showing kind of a downward direction, which has really been a resistance there. And it looks like we're starting to break out of that. And so when they have these charts, this is gold versus the SPX. Okay, so that's like the stock market index. And it looks like we're going to start to break out of it right here. You can see, maybe you can't see it. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. So if you actually see it, you can see that there was a breakout here and there was a breakout here. Okay. So he's looking for another phase that's going to take us higher. Which could be really interesting. So if you look at the phases here, here's phase A, phase B, here's a phase A, and he's looking at the phase B up here. Now it's an index, so I don't know what 3 means, okay? But basically your numbers go higher, all right? Let me share a couple other posts I pulled up today too that I thought was interesting. Okay, you guys, there's some weird stuff going on here. I didn't mean for that to take us there. I want to, maybe I can increase this. Okay. So Judy Shelton, she said, this is sort of sort of amusing and much appreciated, but I hope I am not the fat lady who hasn't sung yet. Bitcoin, gold, XRP whales are betting on Judy Shelton to become Fed chair, even though Trump already announced his choice. So if Judy Shelton ends up becoming the Fed chair, I think we have our best chance of going back to sound money of gold and silver. Bitcoin is not sound money. And it's not because it doesn't make a sound and it doesn't exist. It's because it does not stabilize. It's a risk on asset. It's more of a speculative investment, much more so than silver is. I'm not saying you can't own it. I'm not saying it's stupid and everything else. We will talk a little bit about what's come out in the news recently too. So I'm just going to not put a judgment on that right here at the moment. But what I'm going to say is that, if she does come into play, it could be okay for Bitcoin. I don't know. XRP has a different purpose to it, but gold and silver definitely. So I want to share with you one more thing from Judy Shelton that I saw. I think it was on here too. Oh, we're in the post. Okay, it's right here. I'm going to play the audio here so you guys can hear it. Hopefully it'll come through. This is a really important thing to watch. Okay, so this is Judy Shelton right here. This is Judy Shelton right here. Okay, I want you guys to pay very close attention to what happens in her face. Okay, when Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, mentions gold. Okay, it's towards the end of this. So I want you guys to pay attention to this. All right, let me make sure the sound's up. And then we're going to get into your questions too, guys. So
there are lots of rumors of Chinese digital assets, that may be backed by something other than the RMB, perhaps gold-based. We haven't seen that. Sure, there are lots of rumors of Chinese digital assets, that may be backed by something other than the RMB, perhaps gold-based. We haven't seen that. Sure, there are lots of rumors of.
Okay. Did you guys see that when he says gold-based? Right there. Do you see that? Okay, she's the one that's been calling for a gold-backed, a gold bond that's 50 years. And so it does not pay out any kind of a rate of return until it's redeemed at the end of the 50 years, but it would be in gold. That might be one way we can shore up everything, which could buy the country more time from having to completely reset the currency and completely reset everything. You saw her face. Now, that's not conclusive evidence that she's the pick, but it does show that they're listening to her, and it shows that they are considering things, okay? So I'm going to pull this. We pulled that up. I'm going to pull up a couple other points. All right, I'm going to try to get Catherine Austin Fitz on too. She's awesome. I'll probably have to talk to Andy about an introduction with her. But I like everything she goes into. If you guys haven't done so, you should go and look at this post. Don't do it now, but you can cut and paste this if you can. I don't know if that'll work in here. Yeah, okay, the post is there. So you can open a new browser window and go see that later. You can go into more detail there because I think it's, well, okay, we're going to play it. It's only 2 minutes and 44 seconds. You know what? We're just going to play it. Here we go.
And I said very naively, you didn't have it. And I had a meeting with this board out at Safeguard Scientifics. There was a firm that was co-located from them. One of the members was on the board. And I showed them what was possible if we re-engineered the government money. And there was enormous opportunity to build enormous financial equity capital gains. The pension funds could make a lot of money re-engineering how the federal budget worked in a way that would create a much more productive economy. And the president of the largest pension fund in the country was there, and he looked at me and he said, "You don't understand. This is what we had tried to do." He had been working with a group of activists as a young man. He said, "This is what we tried to do, and they were able to stop us." And I said very naively, "You didn't have the internet. You couldn't get the learning speeds up locally high enough to jump the curve." And then he froze and he looked at me and he said, "You don't understand. It's too late." I said, "What do you mean it's too late?" He said, "It's too late. They've given up on the country. And they're going to move all the money out of the country starting in the fall." He said, "You've got to get to Nick Brady." Brady had been the chairman of the firm that I was a partner at on Wall Street, and then had become Secretary of the Treasury in the first Bush administration, and was one of the people you would loosely say was a leader in how the financial system got run. So you said, you got to get to Nick. But I thought what he meant, Andy, was that we have been given a directive to reallocate the equity in the pension funds to emerging market investments, which made sense because you had much higher growth rates in Asia and the emerging markets than you did in the more mature economies. That's what I thought he meant. But then what happened at the beginning, he said they're moving all the money out starting in the fall. That fall was the beginning of fiscal 98, when enormous amounts of money started to go missing from my old agency, HUD, as well as the Department of Defense. And what I later came to believe, we have an entire website just dedicated to presenting all the documents and analysis on this. It's at missingmoney.solari.com. But what I later came to realize was what he was talking about was they were implementing a financial coup. They had given up on a system where the bankers control monetary policy and the people's representatives control fiscal policy, and decided to move to a process where essentially the bankers controlled both fiscal and monetary policy, and they were not going to do it.
Okay. Who's enjoying this system that allows bankers to do fiscal and monetary policy? Okay. Because you're living in it right now. Okay. Do you guys enjoy that? I don't enjoy 50% taxes.
By presenting new legislation to change things, they were going to do it on the just do it method and lever up the debt, issue tons of debt, and suck all the money out the back door, and essentially have a financial coup d'etat, which is exactly what I think has happened.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a couple other posts too. And the reason I'm showing you guys this is there's just so much going on now. One way you can follow me on this is go to the links down below. I'll do it in a minute too. If you're not following me on X, you're missing out on all the stuff I'm bookmarking. There's so much information that's coming out. I'm pretty much getting most of my news from there right now. There's a lot of good stuff that's coming out. I'm pretty much focused on gold and silver with this channel. That's what I primarily look at. And you know, what I can tell you is there's a lot of information coming out, and it's moving very quickly. So I'm going to show you a handful of things that you guys probably missed, but if you follow me on X, you'll get a lot of that. You can go and see, I'll repost some of these things. But I also will, you know, heart them or like them or whatever. So when I do that, I believe you can go to my profile and you can see what I've liked. I could be wrong, but I think you can see that. The other thing that I'm just starting up now is Substack. Okay. So I'm going to be changing around memberships a little bit to make it easier for people. And so on Substack for, I think it's $10 a month. And if you do a year in advance, you save $20. You'll have direct access to asking me questions on a one-to-one basis. And that's way less expensive than doing the $50 for having access to my text messaging. But just know that it might take me a couple days to get back to you guys on Substack. I will answer your questions, but that's another way to communicate with me, less expensive. It'll take a little bit longer, but it's another option. I've got my $50 plan that basically lets you guys contact me from my cell phone. You've got that. We go back and forth. And then I've got my higher membership plans for one-on-one coaching. Okay. I'm not really doing a whole lot with Slice. If you're on Slice, I'm still going to allow you to participate in the other program stuff. But it's just getting too hard for me to update things on there because I can only do it during market opens. And I pretty much work the entire time that the stock market's running. So I can't really get in there for that. All right, so let's do this real quick. I want to share with you just a couple more posts that I found this week. Okay, so this is one that I think is really interesting. Now I'd have to go, I don't know where the 408's coming from, unless they have just created so much more paper silver. It was sitting at 360 about a month ago. If we've gone from 360 to 408 in paper shares of silver, now you know why it's been getting shorted so much. They've actually not shorted so much, sorry, why the price has been going down. They're creating so much synthetic silver, it's causing the price to go down, allowing the banks to get out of some of their shorts. But take in that visual for just a second. That little white line there is the actual amount of silver that's real compared to the amount of fake silver that's been sold out there. So here's the issue. What's going to happen if all of those people, all 408 of them, show up to go get that 1 ounce and they can't buy it? You know, they already bought it. They can't redeem it, right? They can't stand for delivery. You're going to have 407 people that are freaking out. And so they have a couple choices. One, that's called force majeure. If they say, hey, we don't have any silver, you guys have to take cash. So they can get their cash. But if they can't get their silver and they freak out, they're going to be going into the market to try to find physical silver. Some of these companies need the physical silver for manufacturing. Some of them know that they're going to need it down the road and they're afraid of silver price going up. If they are afraid the manipulation's done and the price is going to skyrocket, this is only going to break the market and it's going to cause it to go super high. So it's like musical chairs, except there's 408 people and there's only 1 chair there. So let's see here. Paper silver, annual silver production, 70 billion. He's got all his details in here, but I like, it's not him. It's who did the post here. Jesse Colombo. I like him. I don't know Lucas. All right. So we saw that a little, that's another repeat of it. So this is interesting. You've got silver shortages in a lot of places. A lot of local stores still aren't, you know, answering their stuff. So we're going to hit a little bit of news here and then we're going to dive into all your questions, guys. So here's why it is, you know, nonstop, you know, falling. Let's see if I had it down here. So article, yeah, if Kenshi's still on here, this is something he needs to pay attention to because I know he's a big Bitcoin guy. Besides trolling us all the time for fun. And he only trolls us when silver is down, by the way. When silver was up, he was nowhere to be found. But here's the deal. When you look at Bitcoin, besides all the other stuff in the news that's going on with it, if you just look at it from an asset, when BlackRock got involved and they approved the ETFs, I was like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's done for. It's no longer the libertarian tool for freedom and to get your money out of the system. It's now going to be controlled by the system and by the deep state. And I fully believe that is what is starting to happen. Now, when I say control, it's not direct control, or maybe it is. It depends on, from these files being released in emails, who actually has potential control to some of the, it's open source, so I get that, but could they have built a back door to it? Well, the answer is it's possible. And if you see all the posts online where they say that it can't happen, that's not what they say. They will never say that because that's not true. They know that. They just say, well, we would have found it by now. Okay, well, what if you didn't find it? But forget that for a minute. Just the fact that they have the ETFs, they're basically creating paper Bitcoin. I knew this was going to happen. It's just like what they did to silver and gold. And so that paper gets created by ETF shares, future contracts, perpetual swap, and options delta, broker loan, and structured note. Okay. So I don't want to spend any more time on that, but I thought that was very interesting because that's something that I knew was coming. All right. So we'll end on this one here right now. The Unknown Millionaire here post: gold is crashing, silver is crashing, S&P 500 is crashing, NASDAQ is crashing, the Dow Jones is crashing, Bitcoin's crashing, housing's crashing, the dollar's crashing. Where do we put our money? All right. So, you know, when you look at all of these things that are going on, this is where I would kind of start to answer you guys. Let me go back, move this. Okay. So let's see here. All right. I got some of your questions starred, guys, like 38 of them. Okay. A lot of them I'm still not going to be able to get to, but we're going to start going through them now. Now, if you guys are interested in coming up to join us for a panel, this is kind of a new thing that I've never done before. So if you are new to the channel, don't even attempt it. If I don't know your handle and I don't know who you are and I haven't seen you doing a lot of posts and being here a lot, I'm not going to let you up. But if you guys have interest, so OC Stacker, that's you. Craig, that's you if you want to jump on here. So my mods could jump on for a little bit if they want. We need to keep at least one person paying attention to the stream though, but you could jump on and speak in for a second. Anybody else that has interest, Rob, I don't know, Rick is in here too, but if you guys have interest, you go to that link I just put in here and you click it, and it's going to take you through some steps, and you'll show up down here below on my green room or back room. All right, let's hit the questions. So let's do that. But real quick, just so we can get this message out more, because guys, it is important. Hit the subscribe so you get notifications of, well, hit the subscribe so that I come up in your feeds. Hit the bell icon so that I come up in your notifications, and hit the thumbs up so that it locks you in, as well as make sure that you, or this can be shared with more people. So look, I'm not just doing this for fun. I could have a lot more fun going out and doing other stuff. I mean, this is Friday night. I'm spending it with you guys. I want to, so don't get me wrong on that, but there's other things I can go do. I'm doing this because I believe we have a few short years left to prepare. And after that, I think it's going to get really crazy. Okay. And when I mean crazy, I think we're going to get to a point where you're not even going to be able to buy physical silver. And then I think we'll get to a point where you won't even be able to buy physical gold. It's going to be shut off. You're not going to be able to get it. So a couple things I'm going to, before I get into the questions here, that Juan, I see you coming up. Anybody else that wants to come in, here's the link again. You just click and go through the process. It'd be great to get 3 or 4 people up here to kind of get some other feedback from people too. OC Stacker, if you can jump in, that would be great too. And Juan, if you don't want to come in, that's okay. You can just hold on. I'm gonna bring you up in a minute. If you need to come in under a different name, that's okay too. So, and you guys, when you come up, you can not show your screen. There's a little button at the bottom that lets you do that. All right. So real quick, one of the cautions I give to people that are buying SLV and GLD, so the 2 ETFs, one caution I give you there is if we have a run on the ETFs, like I described a minute ago, where you have all that synthetic or fake paper Bitcoin, silver, and everybody starts rushing to the exit to get their physical silver out, which could happen in March. There's a couple questions on that in here we're going to hit. You can get yourself into a situation where you may not be able to find physical silver to move into. It's the same thing with the mining stocks. You might be able to make a crazy amount of money in fiat dollars in your mining stocks, but you might not be able to convert that into gold and silver at some point because we just may not be able to buy it. And what do I mean by that? Well, it might mean that the physical supply is just dried up. And so you're having to order, silver eagles that aren't even going to be minted until October. And so you've got to wait for those silver eagles. You have to pay today. You got to wait until October. And, what goes up plateaus if we revalue and we lock the currency to gold. And I'm not hearing a whole lot of that right now, but I do think it's coming down the road. But until that happens, you're going to have it come back down at some point too. Even when we go up to these high points, I believe we're going to hit. There'll be some kind of a correction. I don't think we're going back down to 20 or 30 for a long-term low. We've printed too much money. Those days are over. Could we see it? We could see it, and I'll get to that in a crash scenario here. But it wouldn't be long-lived, and you probably would never be able to buy your physical silver at that price. But what I want to just caution you on is I recommend everybody start with a foundation of gold and silver. And then from there, once you've hit your basic numbers, then you can play in the mining stocks. You can go and you can start to do options or whatever other stuff you guys want to do. Now, as always, this is not financial advice. We're just talking about possibilities. You want to talk to an advisor if you've got a lot of money and you're trying to place it and do things with it. And you want to be able to get other opinions from people too. So, I like to say 1 ounce of gold for every $50,000 in net worth you've got. And the reason for that is I believe when they go to revalue the gold, eventually they're going to hit 50 as one of those numbers. They could start as early as 8,000 and they could hit it at 15. They could hit it at 20 or 30 and they could hit it at 50. At 50, we burn off all of the debt. You can reset the currency. And everybody holding the US debt's going to get, basically devalued big time. And we will have a lot of inflation that comes from it. People holding gold and silver get to ride it up. Now, every time they do something like that with the revaluation, they usually confiscate stuff too. So this isn't a video about confiscation. We're not going to get into all the details of that, but I do hedge stack. I have different kinds of stacks for different reasons. One of them I have is pre-33 gold in case we do get to a situation like that. Are they going to come and get it from you for your house? No, no one ever said that. I don't know why everybody goes there. It's never even been said by a single person on YouTube. If they do it, they're going to be doing it more aggressively. Technically, right now, they're confiscating gold and silver. And they've been doing it since 1971 when they took you off the gold standard. It becomes harder and harder and more expensive all the time to do it. And so basically what's happened is they continue to do it through inflation, okay? If you ever have to sell gold and silver to pay taxes or pay bills, it's a form of confiscation. Another one is just increase in taxation, okay? So all these different things can happen and get into it. I have different stacks for different reasons. That's where I'll leave it there. All right, so let's kind of get started with, but that's my caution is, if you're only going into paper right now and you don't have any physical, I would get my hands on physical and pay whatever you need to pay to make it work. But, you know, shop around and make sure you're getting good value for it. Okay, so Brian, thank you for the 5 super chats for those members. You guys, we're going to roll this live stream in after this. Okay. So from Christine, 2-tiered system incoming, ? Gold back currency for them and UBI for whoever survives the reset. Okay. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know everything, guys, but I do read up on a lot of stuff and I do follow things that people say out there. And I will try to check over here on the comments over on this side that keep going through the feed. So mods, if you need to get my attention, just put a bunch of surfboard guys on there. Maybe I'll see that. So here's a hypothesis that I have, and other people have this too. We get to a financial reset system, and if you're holding gold and silver, you're going to be in good shape because they're going to back the currency with it again. It's going to continue to have value. It really is the only 2 things that have value on the planet in monetary sense. Everything else could get wiped out. So, you know, just imagine maybe you live in $1 million home, okay? And I'm going to use some numbers as just placeholders, okay? A lot of you don't live in $1 million home, and probably a lot of you do, okay? If you live in any of the big cities or states, good luck on finding anything under $1 million. We have crack houses in California that are over $1 million. So that's how messed up it is here. All right, so let's say you had a house that's worth $1 million, and you also had, you know, $100,000 in gold and $100,000 in silver. Okay, we can get into a situation where when the reset comes, your house ends up dropping in value drastically. Okay, and it can happen in 2 ways. One is your home value could continue to go up at a 5 or 10% increase per year, but we have like 300% inflation. So basically you're losing almost 300% a year in home value. So, but the price could be going up. So you might feel okay about that. The other way it can be is in a complete real estate crash where all of a sudden your $1 million home goes down to being worth 250,000 or 200,000 or whatever. In both of those situations, gold and silver are going to levitate and go above with inflation. At least that's what history shows us. And so I think what Christine's getting to here is if you don't have gold and silver, you run the risk of putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have to use a UBI, which is universal basic income. So if we have AI take enough jobs out, if we have enough people lose their jobs, a universal basic income would basically be like every person in the country getting a $2,000 a month payment to a, let's call it a stable coin, because if they do UBI, I think they're going to do it through the stable coin. And when they go to do that, it's basically going to be, I'll try to star a few more of these that are coming up too. It's basically going to be like communism, right? Everybody gets the same amount of money. You have a little bit more choice than communism, but you're kind of stuck with that. And if you can't afford stuff, you can't. If you got gold and silver, you're going to be able to eat steak. You're going to be able to have a car still, all those other things. So that is something that I would, I'd look out for. All right. Rob's not freaking out over this, the crash that we had recently here, which I think we're still in. Most of my stack was purchased at a very low price point. Okay, so a lot of you guys are in that same place where your stack was purchased way lower than it is today, the price is today. It's funny, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was laughing on a Sunday when I saw the market open. So maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And I was laughing so hard because I basically made from my precious metals investing, I made 2 years worth of income in like 2 days, maybe 4 days. And I was laughing, it was just crazy. Now, most of that's been given up. And never count your chickens before they hatch. I didn't go out and buy a house. I didn't go out and buy a car, right? You don't do that stuff. But I was laughing just this last Friday, a week ago, when it did the same thing again. Oh my gosh, look at this market, how manipulated it is. So, if you guys did buy at a higher point, it's going to go higher. My prediction of $180 silver is still valid this year, and my $6,000 gold. Now, what I said in my video there is I think it's going to be between $180 and $200 silver, but it could go as high as $300 to $500 if things really unwind and go crazy. And then my prediction for gold is 6,000 or higher. Okay. Things are too uncertain. I'm not a big, huge analyst. That's not what I do for my day job. I don't have the time to go through all of that. So I don't have enough analysis to be able to give you guys anything more specific than that. But, last year I thought we would go to 40 and we went way above that. And I thought we would get to, I think I said $4,000 gold to $4,500. So that was a little closer, but the predictions aren't meant to be accurate completely and to be something you base your decisions on. They're really a place for us to kind of judge what did we think it was going to look like at the beginning of the year, what ended up happening at the end of the year, which can be really crazy. All right, so I would tell you guys, don't freak out. There's no reason to freak out. I have not had any. It hasn't even phased me with the price going down. If anything, I started buying up a little bit more on the miners. And this weekend, I'm looking to help my daughters get into some silver too. So I'm looking for that. Now, when I mentioned 1 ounce of gold to every 50,000, I like to have $100 to $200 face of junk silver or constitutional silver for each family member. And then I think a good goal to get to is 1,000 ounces of silver. Now, that might be a huge goal for you guys. Some of you may be nowhere near there. That doesn't mean you have a problem if you can't get there. That's a goal. It's a place that I think you get to. You have you got 10 or 20 ounces of gold and you've got 1,000 ounces of silver. You're in pretty good shape. You're better than 99% of the planet. You put yourself in a very strong position. The fact is, if you have 1 silver coin or even 1 gold coin, you're in better shape than 99% of the United States. So I think that's important to do. All right, another one from Christine. Bought more this morning, banking on the inevitable. Yeah. Look, it's going higher. Now, it's not just going higher. It's going to go higher pretty quickly. Okay. The longest term here is maybe we have 3 months of consolidation. Maybe we see it go down a little bit more. And it consolidates and then it takes off. More likely, because we came down pretty steep, it allowed more of an opportunity for people to buy more. The supply is shrinking pretty quickly. Bullion dealers haven't even lowered their price down that much. It could really rebound pretty fast too. So what I'll tell you guys is my advice for everything is dollar cost average with this. And Craig mentioned this here. Let me see if I can find his post real quick. My mouse is lost. I did start it. I start a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm not even finding it now. Shoot. Okay, well, I'll kind of reiterate it. So let me look one more time. Okay, I don't see it now. So when you look at what's going on in the market right now, there's a couple possibilities of what's going to happen. When you have it go steep up and then it goes steep down and supply is almost out, people are going to buy and then they're going to start chasing it. Dealers are going to start raising prices and it's going to start to push it up. Okay. So you got that going for you. You've got JD Vance. I'll have to see if I can find that on here. He came out, we'll listen to that in a minute, and talked about a new silver floor. Okay. It's not a silver ceiling. Okay. Kenshi, it's not a silver ceiling. It's a silver floor. That means the United States is going to come in here and basically put a floor to silver, meaning it cannot go below that. Okay. I'd like to know what that means. Does that mean that they will buy your silver from you? Does it mean that, dealers are going to be able to get a minimum when they go to sell it to a smelter? So there's details we don't know. But we had that announcement. We also had the announcement around Mexico signing the deal with the U.S. It's not going to be a starter package with hats and stuff. No, it's gold and silver, more of a starter package. And what I mean by starter package with Andy that I'm trying to work together on, it might be something like you get $50 face constitutional, and you may get a couple tubes of silver eagles, and maybe you get a couple tubes of silver rounds. So I want to make it something that's kind of substantial for people to get started with that. If you're not in that boat, that's okay. There's plenty of online bullion dealers that'll get you 5 ounces of silver at spot, and I'd go start over there. For Andy, that's not going to be something that interests him and works for his company's setup. For an online bullion dealer where you can just automate it and do it, that can work. Bitcoin's just another speculative tool. This crash proves it. It's nothing new. It's a very speculative tool. And because of the nature of speed of what it can do, it's actually a disadvantage. I know Bitcoin people always talk trash about gold being hard and how do you leave the country with $1 million of gold. It's not that hard to leave the country with $1 million of gold. You can get a slabbed coin that's worth $1 million, take it with you. You could also take your gold and you can have it sent. You can go take it to a vault facility and they'll send it to one of their other vault facilities in another country. Like, there are options. Okay. It's not like you can't do it. If you're using, other services like a Glint or One Gold, yes, you could sell it into fiat, send your fiat money or send crypto, but you're going to have tax ramifications. So that doesn't really work. But you can send coins that are worth $1 million. You can send bars, whatever. You don't worry about all of that stuff. But with Bitcoin, I think gold's heaviness and hard, pain in the butt to sell, and same with silver, is a feature. It makes it harder for you to just unload it. You can press a button and get rid of your Bitcoin. And maybe you do it in the wrong time. Okay, stay the course with stacking, plan for gold and silver. This is from Mike. The fundamentals on why to hold gold and silver has not changed. You will see up and downs. Okay. We got another new member, so welcome, Rich. Okay. And if you guys do want to come up, you can do this. I will probably lose my voice and not have much left by the time we get to in another hour. It'd be great to have someone else come up. I couldn't get a hold of OC Stacker earlier, so I don't know if he's still in here, if he can come up, but maybe he doesn't know how to do it. Anyway, I don't see him in here anymore. Okay, our fiat currency is not backed by anything right now. That's not exactly true. It's kind of true. If we have 8,130 tons, it's kind of backed by that to a degree. It's just not redeemable is maybe the correct term to put out there. What really backs our currency right now is an arsenal of nuclear weapons, aircraft carriers, and whatever the heck we did to Venezuela. That is what backs the currency. So if you start selling your oil and gold, then we may show up and take you out. This, I believe, is going to be something to watch and maybe even record and a time in history to really look out for. I think what we're going to see in March when the contracts come up is I think we're going to see the real test of all those paper ounces, and this could blow up. Now, I wouldn't go, sell your house or leverage your house so that you can buy a bunch of silver because of this event. But I do think that this event could push things way higher. Okay, and then we have some more time, guys. So we're going to go all the way until just before 8, or sorry, before 7 Pacific time. So about another hour. So I'm going to give you guys all the preparedness stuff. We're going to go into all of that. I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to share that with you guys. Here's another one on the March COMEX delivery from Brian. This will keep the silver market super choppy due to the Crimex wanting to get the folks standing for delivery. So here's what you have to understand, okay? The banks are still short silver, okay? They might be net long on silver right now, meaning that they think they have a little bit more physical than they do shorts out there, but they still have billions of dollars worth of shorts, okay? And I don't mean like a few billion, I mean like tens of billions. Enough to mess the banks up big time, if not collapse some of them. They are taking every opportunity they can here to get out of those shorts now. I think they're starting to finally see that they're not going to be able to suppress this anymore. It's going to run. And so the real question is, do we have a run on the physical silver before the banks get out? And do we have a complete market collapse and meltdown? And I don't think most of you, well, I shouldn't say most. Some of you are not prepared for a complete market meltdown, including gold and silver, because I've gotten a lot of questions from you, the guys this week, that said, oh my gosh, how much lower can it go? If you're asking the question, how much lower can it go, you're doing a couple things wrong. One is you're over leveraging yourself with either options or futures. And so, you may have too much in there. You may need to pull some of that back. This is going to be highly volatile. You could make a ton of money and you could lose it all. It might be that you don't have enough cash reserves. And so you're worried about having to sell some gold and silver. And that's on your mind, right? Another one might be that you just have anxiety. Okay. If you just have anxiety, you got to go do something fun. Have some ice cream. But you really shouldn't be freaking out right now. And you really shouldn't be freaking out if the price of silver goes lower, unless you're counting on it for retirement, or you don't have enough cash reserves, or you don't have income. Okay. But we'll get to that in a minute. We've got a few more of these to get through, and then we'll try to hit a few other things over here on your guys' stuff. And also hit the thumbs up, subscribe, bell icon, all that stuff. More people see it. So Salted Dog says, monetary war, trade war leads to high velocity exchanges of ideas, and then it leads to high velocity exchange of projectiles. That's what happens too. So, when these things start, they kind of go all over the place. I am going to pull up another window here for Ray Dalio, because you guys need to go watch this thing. That's not it. Just a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can find a short. We are going to play that in a minute. Give my voice a break for a second too. But let me find the right one. There's a short one. Give me just a second here. Oh, no, that's it here. This one. Okay, we got that queued, okay? We'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, I'm a little all over the place a little bit, guys, but that's how we kind of do these streams, is we try to answer all your questions. And I do this because I don't think enough YouTubers are doing it. I'm not doing this to get rich. I'm not doing this for showing my face to be famous on here. Actually don't want to do that, but I don't want to show my hands only. I think that's boring. But I do this to help you guys out. Okay. In 2011, I got diagnosed with melanoma cancer. That's my ear here. And, it's one of those things that I was in church, and a doctor sat behind me in the meetings and noticed this little spot on the back of my ear. I had it checked by a dermatologist the year 6 months earlier, and he said, let's just watch it. Well, I had a first person told me to take it off, and then my parents were so worried my ear would look retarded, which now it does. And basically, the doctor saved my life. I went in and had a biopsy done, and it came back as nodular melanoma, 90% chance of death if you get that. Actually, I shouldn't say that. That's the wrong way. 90% of skin cancer deaths are melanoma. And this might be loose. This is what the doctor told me. 90% of melanomas are nodular melanomas, which I had. And so if you catch it early enough, you're okay. If it gets into your lymph system, you're dead. You're just going to die. There's no cure for it. There's no chemo. Nothing does anything for it. At least not in 2011. And so they did a biopsy. They got it. They freaked out. And so I had to go in and have half my ear cut off. and then 14 lymph nodes in my neck. And they did that because it was an emergency thing. They wanted to make sure they caught it in time. Luckily, everything was clear, and I've been cancer-free since then, but that's my ear. That's why you guys see this here. Ever since then, it changed my heart, okay? I had to wait for 3 weeks over Christmas break, with the doctor having told me I have a 30% chance I'm dead in 2 months. That does something to you. It changes you. And so that changed me to the point where I want to do service. I want to help and get messages out to you guys. So part of what I'm trying to do is get as much of that to you as I can to get you guys prepared. That's why we're doing the live stream like this. It's a little crazier. A lot of people that do live streams are really just doing a presentation of what they want to talk about. They're not really answering a lot of questions, but I want to answer the questions for you guys as much as we can. Now there's a bunch of people in here. We've got 351 people watching. And so I can only, get to all the questions. Let's do another one of these real quick here. We're going to do another poll so you guys can fill that out while I'm talking. And I'm going to get to a few more questions. I'm going to show you a few more things. And I'm watching the time to make sure we have enough time to get through all the goodies you guys want to hear. Okay. Okay, so I want to get your guys' sentiment on this real quick because this is important for me to understand this, and then I'll ask a few more questions as we get to the meat and potatoes here of everything. We're at 279 thumbs up. Let's see if we can get to 300, guys. We should be able to do that. All right. Whoops. Okay, look for that. We got a poll. That'll be fun. Okay. Currency war. Okay, so yeah, this is a little bit more on what Mike was saying earlier. Currency war leads to trade wars, which leads to kinetic wars. And when all else falls, they take you to work. And that's Gerald Celente. Now, I hope to meet Gerald Celente. We will have to tell you to not have any kids or grandkids watching when he comes on. But I would love to get him on one of these days. He's a little bit of a potty mouth. But the guy's got a lot of energy. It covers up their mismanagement for the economy and financial system. This is true. That's what happens. So we're not fear mongering. We're just telling you guys history of stuff. Okay, so let's hit this too. What local challenges do you see for local coin shops when the price fluctuates to extremes for gold and silver? There are huge problems for coin shops, guys. Huge problems. So a couple of them. One, they're having a hard time being able to buy supply. Okay, people are coming in, and coin shop owners, when they see the fluctuations, they're not going to buy anywhere close to what the spot price is because they're afraid the spot price is going lower. And so they don't know how long it's going to take them to sell it. And the smelters are still not, a lot of them aren't buying. And the refinery, one of the biggest refineries stopped buying completely. So they're worried. So I'm hearing a lot of places are 10% below spot in buying. Okay. But when you go to see selling, they're about, on silver, I think they're like 20% over spot price on the premium for selling silver. So what you got to look at is when there's a lot of volatility, they have to reduce their risk by spreading everything out. Now, it's also true that spot price is paper. It's not necessarily physical. And so you got to realize that too. Okay. Do I think the COMEX will collapse under pressure of March deliveries? I think it's possible. I don't know if it's going to for sure happen, but I can tell you that if it does happen, you're going to want to stay around for the last part of our live stream today to find out how to prepare for it. Because if you don't have food and water and the COMEX crashes, you're screwed. Okay. You're going to basically have to rely on some other things to happen, because if the COMEX breaks, I think the banks are breaking, and I think they're going to do martial law and stuff like that. And I know that sounds really extreme, but that could happen. If you can't pull any cash out of the bank, your debit cards and credit cards stop working, you're going to be in trouble. And why would that happen? Well, if a bunch of the banks go down and they're all foreclosing at the same time, the big ones, and little banks are having some problems too, they can't contain it. It's going to cascade. And so they're going to have to just shut the system down for a period of time. And none of this is, I'm not making any of this stuff up. It's not conspiracy theory. It's possibilities. Okay. I don't even know what probability to give to it, but you got to get prepared for that. That's what we're going to be talking the second half of the show about. All right. So let's see this real quick. Okay. I'm not going to read that out loud, but basically, there's a lot of connections, potentially at least rumors of connections and some stuff in the emails that look very suspicious around these two things together. And if that gets completely confirmed, then you're going to see Bitcoin completely go to zero. No one's going to want to touch that thing. So if you have Bitcoin, you might want to watch that closely. Okay, I think all sports are scripted, to be honest. I'm starting to think most of the planet and our lives are scripted. It's not necessarily scripted on everything that goes on, every play and all the sports out there, but it does seem like, there are calls that are made that are just unfair, and some of them are maybe mistakes and others just seem blatant. So it does seem like there's quite a bit of manipulation that goes on in the games, and anything that you're betting on, where you can make a bunch of money, and Vegas can too, there's probably some form of manipulation to it as well. Okay, Miles Franklin, let's hit this for a second. So we're going to open up two things. First off, if you want to get a hold of Miles Franklin, I recommend reaching out to them. It's info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know StackingSurfer sent you. You can put that right in the body. You can put it in the subject as well. That will make sure they help prioritize it. Now, they're slammed right now, guys, and so is just about everybody else. So their online prices are extremely high compared to the prices they give you when you buy from them. I have had some of my best prices of buying gold and silver come from Miles Franklin. Now, I probably got a little bit of an advantage from doing stuff with Andy. Maybe he's been a nice guy and given me some more. But that goes along with friends. I have friends that have spent $40,000. I know other people that have spent a lot more than that with him, and they've had great service. Right now, it's just hard for them to get through to everybody, so you're going to have to be a little bit patient. If you just need to hurry and grab silver right now and you don't have patience and you don't want to work with someone, you don't want to find the best stuff to buy, you're just having a panic attack over it, you're probably better off just going to a coin store or buying some stuff online from a bullion dealer where you can just put it in the cart and buy it. But if you're doing that, you're also panicking. And anytime you panic, you make mistakes. So you probably need to chill out first. Right now, buying anything under $100, silver's on sale. Okay. It's going way over $100. And so it's not that they have upcharges on the price of silver and gold on their website. I just don't think they updated as much. And it's a way you can grab stuff very quickly, but they like to look at this. They hunted around for me for a bunch of 10th ounce gold eagles, and they found, I wanted it all backdated, and they found all this stuff for me. It was crazy. They did a great job. I will address this from Kenshi real quick. Why didn't you sell at the high? I'm not trading gold and silver, so why would I sell it? It is the only money on the planet. You don't sell it. You might trade it for real estate that produces cash flow. Outside of that, why would I get rid of it? I would just, take fiat money that I get from my day job and use it for things. So one thing I will say is most people that are into crypto and into Bitcoin are trying to get rich. They're trying to make money, and they're not looking for ways to save. They're not looking ways to secure money. They're looking to make the money from it. And you can make a lot of money from it, and you can also lose a lot of money from it. And so that's why it is a risk-on asset, and it's very volatile. So that's why. I mean, now if you're in mining stocks, it's a little different. If you're playing options and you're playing the paper market, a lot of times you are looking to sell high and go low. Now, for me, I did not want to go into the next tax bracket last year, so I didn't sell any of my miners. I'm still holding on to them. I'm going to get a year with the miners so I can get long-term capital gains and reduce my tax burden. So that's why I'm not going to sell. Okay, let's take that off. Okay. Right now I'm not moving. We're going to be here for a while. So we're not going to do that for right now. So I think I've got the stack I've got. All right, let me see. Some of these were redundant. Okay. I'll give you a hint, but we're going to prepare this. I'm going to hit this here in a few minutes as we get to the bulk of stuff. And I think I'll take 2 more questions here because there's so many of them, and we'll try to jump into what's going on right now recently with you guys. And we'll hit the super chats. What I will tell you for water is this. The best way to store water is to get the big blue containers. You can get them from 55-gallon drums to 160-gallon containers. And I've got an additive that I buy that makes the water conditioned for 5 years. And then you need to have a water filter for pulling, once you pull the water out of the tank, to filter it again before you drink it. If you're super worried about it, you can always boil it. Okay. Just to make sure everything's good. And if there's not a lot of water around when you go to boil, you might want to put a lid on top of it and put it inside of another container so the condensation can go out around the edge and you can try to keep it. I think it's important to have about a month's worth of water at your house. And I think it's important to have at least 3 months worth of food storage. Okay. That's going to solve most of the problems that are going to happen. You can go a year to 2 years on food, and you can store as much water as you can get. But once you start getting more than like a month's worth of water, you got to have like a pool. And there are ways to filter pool water, or you got to have like a pond or lake or something. But I can make I filmed it. I filmed it like 2.5 years ago. I haven't put the video together because it's a harder video for me to make and kind of think through the whole process. And then there's trying to get people that I can send you to that can help you with it. It's just a whole nother, it's a whole nother business. So I haven't really hit that, but I'll see if I can get something to you guys that'll help you. All right, we're going to hit that in just a second. So I'm going to hold that one for a minute. Let me just see if there's any other really good ones in here. Frank Face, send me an email. One of the things I'm working on right now is I'm vetting some software ideas. I want to revolutionize the way that people interact with their precious metals. Being a software guy and an AI guy, I think I'm probably one of the few people in the industry that's probably qualified to do any of this stuff. So I'm going to see if I can try to build something that would help all of us. I'd be curious to see what you're kind of talking about, to see if it's similar or if it's different. But, I want to make it less expensive for you guys to buy, sell, and trade stuff. Is what I really want to do. Okay. There's ways to do it. If you guys are looking at tax stuff, an IRA with a Roth IRA, yes, that'll keep you out of taxes. That's probably the best way to do it. The only problem is if we have the COMEX break, or we have a financial reset or a revaluation, I can't guarantee they're not going to come confiscate the metals out of the IRA vaults. They did it in Cyprus when they were desperate. And frankly, if we don't have 8,130 tons, or if China has 30,000 tons or something like that, we may not have much of a choice, but to try, if you want a country, but for people to try to hand things over to try to shore the country up. Hopefully they're doing that right now. So I don't mean to freak anybody out, but there's some crazy stuff out there. Yes, this is totally true. You can have the stock market crash, and you can have, SLV futures go down on the paper if we completely disjoint from each other, and you could have physical silver prices skyrocket. But I think that's within reason. When the COMEX, if the COMEX breaks, that would kind of be the situation that you're describing, where the paper silver just basically goes down. SLV is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. They close it down. It goes to zero. From a physical silver standpoint, as you start getting out of that thing, then, there'd be cash there. So I guess it wouldn't go to zero, but people would pull all their money out of it for the most part. So, you'd want to do it fast, and you'd have the physical go up. I don't like ETFs. I don't like mutual funds. I like to buy individual stocks. And I would only touch an ETF that's a spot ETF where it holds the actual shares of stock in there, not tied to an index. But your best long-term investment is the physical gold and silver. It is what the money is. And gold is way better than silver from a historical standpoint for storing your wealth. That's why it's called wealth insurance, and silver is more speculative. Now, if in the future we get to the point where silver becomes unobtainium and we just can't pull enough of it out of the ground, and it's getting consumed in wars and getting consumed in electronics and industry, you might end up seeing silver be worth more than gold. Okay. It's hard to say. You've got a lot of silver bugs out there that are going hardcore on it that think it's going to, replace gold. But you've got all the financial systems in the world that are counting on, gold being the next thing. And that's why you've got central banks starting to own more gold than they do the dollar. But it's just barely. It's like 51, 52% of what they have is in, they may have some other reserves too, but it's just starting to tip. Okay. And they got to get to the point where they have more than that, a lot more than that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. There's scenarios where the cash disappears in the bank. You could have a financial reset to where there's a run on the banks. It could happen from silver and COMEX breaking. It could happen from just enough regional banks getting hit around the same time. You could have the new Fed chair come in and raise interest rates, which would break the banks. Technically, every bank would probably go out of business right now if the Fed came back and said you have to have 10% reserves. They don't have them, so they'd all go under. So if something happens to the banks where they have to go in and do a bail-in, which is take your money to pay off their debts or shore themselves up, your cash in the bank's gone. And there's only about $100 billion worth of FDIC insurance to insure something like $11 trillion in deposits. So if we have a cascading bank failure, so let's do this. We'll roll into this to do the rest of the show on. Let's hit the bank first. Okay, the bank's on fire in my picture, right? Let me see if I can put this behind me. All right, give me a second here, guys. Okay. I don't know how this is going to look as a backdrop. All right. I don't know if I can stare at myself. Okay. We're going to hit bank first. Okay. And I'm going to move off this because it's bugging me a little bit. But bank, why is the bank on fire? Okay. Then we're going to hit house. Then I'm going to hit Bitcoin real quick. And then we're going to do gold and silver. And I'm going to tell you how to get ready for it. Okay. So I'm going to remove that because that's just too crazy. Yeah, we're going to go to this. Okay. So here's the deal. The banks can have issues. There could be a cyber attack on them. They could basically not have enough reserves. They could do a bail-in. We could have electricity that goes out for a while. There's a lot of extreme things your mind can go to. What I want to prepare for you guys for on the rest of the show today is how to not worry and freak out about any of that stuff. Because if you're prepared, then you do the best you can, let God make up the rest. I mean, that's all you can do. The banking situation, though, could be in the point where you just can't get cash out. Your debit card doesn't work. Your credit card doesn't work, right? The system's down. There is the possibility that a cyber attack or a hack happens where they actually zero out all the bank accounts and they just don't have record of what your balances are anymore. And if we get to something like that, that's the kind of thing that would really freak people out. And we would have to pretty quickly do a universal basic income and stable coin to get money out to everybody. And that might be when they put it out there. That's extreme. Okay. The less extreme side is we have more banks that start to fail. And, to mitigate that, you can have your cash in a couple different banks. So I would recommend a credit union, a regional bank, and then a national bank. That way it kind of spreads your risk out a little bit more. Make sure you're below the $250,000 FDIC insurance limit. If you have a trust and there's multiple what is it called? Not trustees, but beneficiaries. If you have multiple beneficiaries in there, you can have 250,000 per beneficiary. But always ask your accountant and your attorney when you're looking at those things to make sure you're set up right. So banks, that's the stuff that can happen with banks. We could have a problem where they just don't function and work very well. Okay. Let's talk about real estate, your house. We could potentially have a crash where your real estate goes down in value, like we did in 2008. But another thing we could have happen that's important to be thinking about is your house has probably lost half of its value now priced in gold because gold's doubled. Okay. Now, maybe you live in an area where you've had more appreciation, but your house is going down and losing value every year, valued in gold. Okay. The Bitcoin people will say the same thing about your house too. Over time, it depends on when you guys bought stuff, right? So that's something just to be careful of with your house is if all your money's in your house, you might want to hedge things. Now, I'm in a little bit in that kind of a situation. So if I look at my net worth, I'm about 20% in precious metals in mining stocks. I'm a couple percent in crypto and, I'm a couple percent in the stock market. And then I have, some other liquid assets. And I've got vehicles, and then I have a house that takes up a massive portion of my net worth. And so one of the reasons I'm heavier in gold than in silver is to basically insure the house, so to speak. So, it should continue to go up. Now, right now, because silver has been doing really well, I think, silver can be a good hedge too. But you can hedge your house with gold and silver. You can hedge the cash in your bank with gold and silver that you control physically. If you don't hold it, you don't own it, kind of a scenario. But if you got enough of it, you got to start vaulting it. It just doesn't get safe to have, a lot in your house. Like you got David Bateman that has like, I don't know, he's probably up to $2 billion now in gold and silver. I'm pretty sure that's not at his house. Or if it is, he's got like an army there to guard it up. Let's see here. Yes. So Daniel, one of these days it'd be great to have you come on and talk to people too, and to get into more on gold back stuff, because I know a lot of people have questions. UPMA, there's different levels of vaults out there, guys. Okay. So you have your bank safety deposit box. Okay. That's good for fires at your house. And it's good if you want to put something somewhere where other people can access it. And you can give multiple people keys. Okay. It's not good if your bank goes down. All that stuff's gone. It goes to the bank. The next level is you've got safety deposit boxes that are in private vaults. Okay. So you go into a private vault, you've got your own safety deposit box there. They don't know what's in it. And it's like a second little safe inside the place. A third kind is where you get into more of a vaulting facility where they'll do segregated. So you have a box for your stuff, or you have a section of the vault that's just for your stuff, that's segregated. I think that's how UPMA is. I haven't actually been in there. I tried to go down in there. They wouldn't let me down in there, but I might go in with my dad. He might be looking to do some stuff in one of their vaults. But some of these vaulting facilities that do the segregated can sell for you, and they can also buy for you. So you can buy it and put it in there, and then they'll do like an annual audit with you to show you, with a video call that everything's in there. Other facilities will do commingling where you just get to own part of a bar. That's like Glint, One Gold, and Kinesis. So those are technically vaults, and you don't actually own a particular, coin. You own like a fraction of a bar. So you might own a fraction of 1,000-ounce silver bar, or a kilo gold bar, or even 100-ounce gold bar. So, you own part of it, but which one do you really own? It doesn't really matter. That's there, right? It's not really there. Then you get to the ETFs, which are vaults too. And the ETFs store their stuff in the same vaults that, a lot of the other vaulting companies do, as well as the IRAs. Some of those are the same vaults. And usually Brinks vaults, things like that. They can be stored there, but they've rehypothecated stuff right outside of that. So you've got that. Battle Bank, I do have Rick Rule coming on. So I'll give you a quick update going a little further. I'm in the process of having a conversation with David Morgan, so I'm hoping to have him on. We will have Rick Rule coming up. We're going to get Lynette Zhang on more frequently. We'll continue to have Andy on. I'm hoping we can have Bill Holter on again at some point. And then I've got a list of like another 20 people that I'd like to interview and introduce you guys to. You know, more of you probably do follow some of these people I'm interviewing, because as I interview them, the channel grows and a lot of you are coming from there. But a lot of my original subscribers that are coming in off of just stacking and coins and stuff like that, a lot of these people may be the first time you've seen or heard from these guys. And that's why I'm bringing a lot of them in here, is to share that information with you. And then as we continue to have crazy things go on, we've got to get them to come back in to update us on stuff. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's the bank, that's the house, right? So how do you mitigate the house, gold and silver as well? Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin's highly speculative. Now, the good thing about Bitcoin is that with Bitcoin, you have something that can move very quickly across countries. You can have a code you memorize. You can just take it with you, okay? The downside of it is it crashes 60+% every 4 years. It still has not been adopted by countries yet in buying it like crazy. It's not adopted by central banks. So it's still a very immature asset. And so if you're playing in crypto or in Bitcoin as well, another great hedge is gold and silver, okay? Now, if you're really heavy into Bitcoin, I'd recommend being more heavy into gold than silver, because silver is also a speculative asset as well. That's why it's moving up faster and crashing more than gold is, okay? All right, let's talk stock certificates too. So stocks. You guys, the stock market can get clobbered, okay? I had one of my friends tell me, well, I can't remember exactly what they said, but they basically were saying that, you know, stocks, if they go to zero, then it kills the company. That's not true. If I'm a company and I'm private and I'm worth $1 million and I want to raise, you know, $3 million, I think my company's really worth more money than what the private company tells me right now. I can issue a bunch more shares of stock, and I can set the price when I go and have an IPO to $3 million, right? Divided by the number of shares we put out there. And all of a sudden it goes public, and we do an initial public offering. And when we do that, that's what we're trying to raise, is another $2 million. So we put that out there, the market goes, and maybe the price goes up, maybe it goes down. The company makes its money when they do the initial public offering, and then they're done, okay? Now, if the company itself retains a lot of its own shares, it can be affected a little bit about the share price, but it's the people inside the company that own it that are affected by share price. So you can have a company that is completely profitable, and you can have its stock go to zero. My grandfather's bank, okay, it was still worth a lot of money, okay? It was a pretty good sized bank. And it went from $80 a share to 5 cents, okay? Pretty ugly. That just reminds me too, I have a whole pocket full of change. You guys check the Coinstars when you go. I found all of this in the Coinstar walking by it today. It was just sitting in there. There's a lot of change in here. I haven't looked to see if there's any silver. I don't know if there is any in there, but you guys check the Coinstar. There's probably $4 there. Now the downside is $4 is not even enough to buy a candy bar from a gas station here in California. So that's really sad. So let's just finish that on Bitcoin there for a second. So, you know, the issue that you run into with Bitcoin, guys, is that it can go to zero, okay? And it can happen there. Stocks can go to zero too, but the difference is the business may not go to zero, okay? Banks are an example of that. If you get below a certain requirement for holding reserves, unless you are today, because they don't have any requirements anymore. But in the past, your company is basically taken and given to another company for free. That's kind of what happens. I know you guys tell me to leave California all the time. I know. But I actually love where I'm at, and I'm pretty sure you guys would love it if you were here too. I live kind of in a bubble. I'm hoping that we'll be able to fix the state. But I don't know. That's kind of me. And it does cost me a lot. It's a lot of taxes here too. So going back to the stock for just a second, the other thing you can do to mitigate the stock is you can ask for paper certificates, okay? When you ask for paper certificates, I've confirmed with Fidelity. I've talked to a broker there a couple weeks ago. You can move all of your brokerages over to Fidelity, and then they will issue you paper certificates, and then you put that into a vault, okay, or into a safe in your home. That one you want to make sure is a fire safe, and you might even want to put those certificates into a fire bag inside the safe. So if you do that, you have the stock certificates. Now, the stock market can crash. The brokers can crash and be insolvent, and they can take your certificates as collateral, bail-in. But if you have the paper certificates, no one can take them from you. And so short of the entire stock market going away forever, you still have value there. And even in 1929, the stock market didn't go away forever. It came back. So that is one way you can do it. That's what Bill Holter highly recommended. Even Ted Speaks was all about that too when he came on a few times. So those are ways you can mitigate the stock certificates. Now let's talk silver, and then I'll get to gold. So silver is a risky speculative asset from a price perspective, okay? From an industrial demand perspective, yes, it's always going to be in demand, but what is this really worth? We don't even know yet, because the free market hasn't even been allowed to function. So when you are buying silver, I would be cautious. I do know a few people that have sold all their gold and have gone 100% into 100% into what do you call it? I guess just silver bullion. Okay. And the risk you run there is when we have these flash crashes, right? We could have silver go down by 40% and maybe gold only goes down by 10%. Okay. So you run the risk of those kind of things with silver. So a way to mitigate that is to have some gold and also to have some cash on hand. That way, if silver takes a big hit, you don't have to sell your silver at the bottom. Okay. Now, when I look at gold is a little bit different. There really isn't anything you do to hedge gold. Okay. You can maybe hedge it with some real estate, but that's kind of one thing you could do. When it comes to gold, it is the asset. That is the asset. It's the thing. Okay. That's what time and history has shown us. Now, could silver replace it? Possibly. But so far it hasn't. So that's still hopium in trying to figure it out. So let me kind of go down into a few things and what you guys are looking at. I wouldn't worry so much about price. So here, Barb just mentioned something here. When you're a stacker, you start looking at everything in ounces. So this is true. So, the thing I would look at right now, guys, is worry less about the price, worry about accumulating ounces. Okay. So, I've got this coin sitting here on my desk, and I think this is a 5 ounce. Yeah, 5 ounce, 3/9 fine silver. And it's a dragon coin. Okay. I have no idea where this came from. I don't remember buying it. I have no receipt for it. Okay. I don't know where it came from. Probably got it at a coin show. Bought it from someone. I don't know. But I know I did not go pay premium prices on AppMex for this. Okay. And the reason I mention AppMex is that's probably the only place you'd find this coin besides eBay. So when you go to buy a coin like that, that's minted by, I think this is the Perth Mint probably. It doesn't say, but I think that's the Perth Mint. There's going to be a premium on top of those, right? And then it gets shipped in here and all that stuff. So, what ends up happening is you pay a lot more for ounces. So this 5 ounce might be the same as buying 7 or 8 ounces of silver buffaloes. Right now is the time to be accumulating ounces because we're in a melt up phase of the price going higher. You want as many ounces as you can get in that situation. So I've got a bunch of stuff here. I've got a bunch of stuff that's going up on eBay, not because I want to dump it on someone else, but because I'd like to try to get more ounces if I can. So I'll just show you 2 coins that are going to be going up on eBay. This one got graded as a 69. Okay. So that's the Liberty 2025. It's a really cool coin. So you get that. So that one's going up. And then this is the gold one. I was hoping to have a set that came back 70. This one did come back 70. The other one only came back 69. And this is one of the coolest gold coins I've ever seen. But if I can make $1,000 or $2,000 off of that, the sell of those coins, it gives me more ounces to buy. Okay. So right now is the time to be accumulating more ounces. Now, if you're a collector and you want to collect something like this, this is also the best time to be buying these. I can tell you when bullion starts to become super scarce, these are the coins that are going to get put up that will have more value to them and go for a little bit more money. However, the ones that are really going to rock are going to be the pre-33 gold coins. That's when those things are going to be worth 4 or 5 times the spot price. And I know a lot of you don't think that's going to happen, but history shows us that it does. Okay, OK McFly wants to be my vault. I don't know. That sounds fishy. All right, sorry, guys. Let's hit this poll real quick, and I want to do one more poll. So here's the poll real quick. You guys will see this coming up. When will silver go over $100? 4 weeks to 3 months is 44% of you guys. So that sounds a lot like Lior's interview I did. And maybe even, that sounds more like Lior. 43% of you guys said 2 to 4 weeks. That sounds a little bit more like Kevin Wadsworth, but we'll get a confirmation from him on Tuesday. Less than a week, 9% sounds like, who was that? I forget the name. Just a second. I think Michael Oliver almost sounded like that we could have a really quick up. 4% said it's never going over $100. Okay. For you 4% that said it's never going over $100, you don't understand what inflation is. At some point, it has to go over $100 because you'll be spending $100 for a parking meter, or you'll be spending $100 to, get a bottle of water at some point as things continue to go up. So you can never say never. That was a trick. Okay. All right. Here's the last poll I want to put in here. So here we go. Okay, I'm asking, are you interested in the following videos? I'm going to put in 4 options here, or 3 options, and then in all of the above. And we're going to hit this in a minute too. So I am curious to see what you guys say to this. Okay, so take a look at that poll. Okay, this is a good question too. And I'm going to go back to Super Chats just a second. If you had a nice sports memorabilia collection, what would you consider using to convert over? Okay, so first off, if you have a comic book collection, if you have sports memorabilia, Pokemon cards, anything like that, if it looks like you can sell those things for a price that you're okay with and you're okay getting rid of it, now's probably a good time to convert more of that into gold and silver. I think gold and silver will go so high that you'll have the ability to come back and buy those items for pennies on the dollar for what you sell it for. I could be wrong, not collector advice, okay, not financial advice, but my guess is you're going to be able to buy it a lot. It'll be a lot easier to buy it. Now, some of those pieces may be so hard and rare to find, like this is not going to get sold, even though it is silver. This thing's killer, okay? There are only 99 of these made, and you can see on the edge, maybe. Yeah, you can see on the edge kind of there. Oh, come on. This is number 11. Okay, number 11 out of 99. This was not easy to get. I had to win it on an auction on YouTube, and I had to pay like a $200 premium on top of what other sellers were going for. The case came broken to me. I put up a pretty good fight with the seller to get me a new case. They did. That thing's already almost tripled in value from what I paid for it. There's only 99 of them. I'm not going to sell it because it's extremely difficult to find another one. Okay. So don't get rid of your really hard to find stuff. But if you've got a comic book that there's 10, 20, 30,000 of them out there, you're probably in a little better shape for that. Okay. That's not gold. That's silver. All right. It's a kilo. It's kind of thin, but it's a kilo. All right, let's see. I don't know why you'd rent chickens, just get chickens. That's kind of funny. All right, so we'll do another one of these real quick. Miles Franklin, info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know StackingSurfer sent you. It might take them a little bit of time to get back to you guys because they are slammed just like everybody else is. But what I like about them is they will have a phone call with you. They will, go through email with you, and so give them your phone number too. That way they can call you. It'll be faster. They want to know what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. Okay. So they have some strategy behind it. They want to help you with it. If you tell them you're looking for a specific thing, they'll try to find it. If you're looking for the least expensive thing, they'll try to help you with that. And then also subscribe, select the bell icon, hit the thumbs up. Okay. That helps share this out with more people. Okay. Let's get over to, the super chats. We're kind of hiding in here, but I know we had a few. So big thanks to 949 guys. Check out his channel. I don't know that he does a whole lot on his channel. I'll have to go back over and look there. Anyway, I'll be talking to him at the coin show as well, which will be fun. But thank you for the memberships. And if you guys got one of those, thank 949 too. And then we've got a super chat from Duke Nukem 01. It will be in best interest of the COMEX to have lower silver prices when they close the positions force majeure in March. That is true too. So what can happen with this, guys, and this is why it's kind of an if too, if they can get the silver prices low enough when we get to the March delivery, maybe people don't pull their metals out. Maybe they decide just to take the cash and do something else. At least I think that's what the bankers are thinking. And I think that's probably what the COMEX is thinking. So you cannot rule out that something crazy doesn't happen and they take the silver price down. Okay, so it's not panic time, but it's still possible to have a crazy low silver number in gold and Bitcoin and everything else. If we have a massive deflationary crash, which is where everything goes down in value, like the Great Depression, okay? A lot of the charts look just like 1929, right before the Depression. If we have something like that happen, we can have a period of time where you could see gold and silver really low, okay? I don't even want to tell you the numbers where it could go because it'll freak you guys out. But you could see it so low that you're like, why do I even own this? But what I'll tell you is everything else you own is going to be way lower. So your gold and silver may be what saves you, okay? The people that had gold did pretty well during the Depression, even though the value of everything went down. Gold and silver would also be the first thing to come out of it. We got a new member. So Eric Rockwell, welcome. We got a $20 super chat. Thank you, Ben Breakfast 4314. Optimistic point of the day. We still have a gold standard. They just removed the peg. That's correct. The fact that you can today push a button on a laptop and exchange fiat for metal in your mailbox is nothing short of amazing. So I'll also add to this is our currency is backed by gold. Okay, we have gold. We just haven't audited since 1960s. So we don't know how much is really there and you can't redeem it. Okay, so it is not a gold standard and it is not a gold peg per se, but it is a gold backing of some sort. Okay, so it's a little funky. We kind of went to the petrodollar in the 70s, but in a way you could call it a gold standard. There's gold that's there. It's kind of backing things along with the military. Otherwise, there would be no value to the dollar at all, and people would just pull away from it. But to get to a real gold standard, technically, you need to be able to redeem certificates in for the physical. But it is amazing we can actually get our hands on this, guys. This is the money of kings, okay? You go back to the medieval times, and a regular peasant did not have gold. Even a serf did not have gold. They had silver. The gold all stayed with the king, and they continued to siphon it away until all people had left was silver. So the fact that you can go in and buy a gold coin like this is a testament to the suppression of it. So in a way, you can thank the bankers' corruption and greed on allowing you to be able to accumulate gold and silver. So now our next trick is let's maintain it so we don't lose it. All right, Joey Libs became a YouTube member, so thank you. Good to have you, Joey. All right, so a couple more things I want to hit then on this is, how do you best prepare for all this? Okay, so we've got this. Where do we go here? We got this poll. I'm going to end it real quick here. And so what are you interested in the following videos? Okay, I want to just point this out to you guys. Let me take Joey Lib off here for a sec. Are you interested in the following videos? All of the above is 72. Okay, so most of you guys are interested in all of those. Now, here's the trick. This is not a emergency preparedness channel, and it's not a prepper channel. The moment I start putting a bunch of that stuff on my channel, it tanks the channel, okay? It hurts the algorithm. It slows everything down. So what I'm going to try to do with it is I'm going to try to put together a couple videos and point you guys to other videos I find. It's going to take some time to put that together. But I can show you how to go to Costco and make emergency preparedness food that'll last 30 years. So we can do that. I can show you how to take tanks of water and put different chemicals and where to get those that will make it last 5 years. And then you can buy other preparedness kits to filter the water. The other thing is you've got to have personal protection. Okay, you got to have ammunition. You got to store it properly and safely, and you need to know how to use the guns. And then when you get into shelter and growing food, there's a couple systems you can do with hydroponics and stuff like that to grow food. You can also do, gardening out in your yard. So you need to have seeds. Okay. If you guys don't have seeds, that's something you really need to go get. Silver Buffs became a new member. Thank you for joining. Costco, that's great. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff that's there. So, one of the things I'm going to throw out to you guys too is this. When you start to put all of those things together in emergency supplies and stuff, if you have the funds for it, most things will last over a year. So you could, if in the storage, right? So when I lived in Utah, we had a big area of our basement that was unfinished, and I had big racks. And on these racks, I had supplies. So I probably had about 3 months worth of toilet paper and paper towels. And then we had a year's supply of food for the entire family of 5. And we had a can system that rotated. We had a bunch of different kinds of food, freeze-dried and other cans we would eat on a more regular basis. And then we had, 10 things of deodorant and all kinds of other supplies, shampoo and everything else. If you've got the room and you've got the funds for it, that's another way to hedge. But it's best to do it in a way that you can rotate it. So it's stuff you use on a regular basis. And you just kind of go ahead and buy a year's supply of it. And then every time you use something up, you go and rebuy it and replenish it. If you can do that, you're going to be in great shape if everything falls apart. Okay. The other thing I recommend doing is getting like a backup generator and things like that for the energy. But let me see what I can do as far as videos go to, let me just screenshot this so I have it for later. But we'll figure some stuff out to get some videos for you guys on doing that without it totally messing up the channel. Okay. All right. So, mods, thank you very much for the help in here. Okay, let me see if we had any other quick questions for you guys. Okay, expiration dates. Some of the stuff is, some expiration dates are real, and this stuff's just going to be really gross. Okay. If you live in a more moist climate or humidity, a lot of times the expiration date's kind of around a humidity thing. It's not good, right? If it's like a pasta or something. A lot of them those dates are really there for best of taste. And a lot of it's just there to get you to buy crap more often. Most prescription drugs can go 10 years. They just lose their potency over time. Things like meats can spoil and other stuff like that. So there's ways to prepare some of this. And I think that could be really good. Now, if you guys have any prepper channels you recommend I go to, email me and maybe I can do a collaboration with one of them. That'd be pretty cool too. So that would be fun. All right. We'll do one God today. We're not going to do a lot because I am so backed up, guys. I'm not even kidding. I go back past Thanksgiving and I still haven't sent the gauze out to people and I feel really bad. And then I got a note from my CPA today that I haven't paid any of my bills, which doesn't make sense. I'm pretty sure I did. And they never called me and I didn't even get to deal with that today. I've had so much going. I'm gonna have to do that Monday. Anyway, I'm just backlogged. I'm looking for an assistant. If you guys know anybody that's in California here that might be able to help. But since you guys give me a hard time about California, most of you probably aren't here. Here's what I'm going to do for the GAW. We're going to do another one of these silver bits. Okay. Right there. And we're going to slow down the gauze for a while though, because it's getting too hard to do them. I'm just too backlogged. So I'm in the process of trying to finish a little bit of that more tomorrow and on Sunday. We'll hopefully get them out. I think OC Stacker is going to help. Maybe I'll be able to get another helper to handwrite all the envelopes we've got to do, put the stamps on, and get these out to you guys. I've got some new stickers that we've got, so we'll send those out as well. So if you have a GAW, don't freak out. You've probably sent me 1,000 emails. I just have not been able to get to it. It's like the chat here. You guys are having a fun conversation and doing your own thing over here. I'm talking to myself and some of you are listening to it. But that's kind of how it goes. So let's do the GAW real quick. It's crazy. Look, I'm a director for a multi-billion-dollar software company. These guys own me and they keep me busy. I'm going out to Boston soon. I'm going out to Washington, DC soon. I'll be heading back out to Brazil. I think I'm going out to Chile as well. And then I'll probably be heading to, let's see, where else am I going? To New York. All kinds of stuff is going to be going on. So let's do this. Put in the chat, hashtag emergency. All right, do that. And I'm going to get this set up so we can gather it. And then I am going to show you a couple more things on X. I guess not. We're going to run out of time. So for the members, I'll show you the other things on X for the members that are in here. We'll hit that on the next thing. Okay, we got 19 of you in here. Let's keep going. 330 of you guys in here. We should be able to get 100 of you to try to win this thing. Hopefully this is helping. So, I mean, you guys you're still in here. So I'm assuming that you're liking the content and it's helping you guys. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. So I prefer to have another person up here. I just didn't have a chance to send it to OC, and I don't think he knows how to get on here if it's not in his email. And I didn't really see him in here, so I don't know if he was in here or not. Okay. All right, we got 59. Let's see if we get to 100 real quick. We got a couple minutes. And then for you that are members, stay on here. I'm going to press a button. It's going to do a transition, and it's going to go right into here. And that's going to help us get on here. And then once we get on, I'm going to send out a meeting invite to everybody else with a link to the live stream. Hopefully that'll help some people get in there too. You guys are all in an emergency state. Look at this. You guys are having emergencies now. I do appreciate it. Thank you. So, here's what I'll tell you in closing on this stuff. How do you prepare for the financial reset? You do it in multiple ways. but you do it calmly without freaking out. The reality is no one's going to be able to completely prepare for things. We don't know how it's going to go. On the one hand, we may end up seeing gold and silver just take off here next week, and we end up seeing it just continue going. Maybe we see the COMEX break, and maybe things get messed up at the banks. Maybe some of us lose jobs from the mess, or maybe it's not that bad. Maybe not everybody wants their silver and they're okay taking cash, and the paper market just kind of blows up and it doesn't destroy all the banks. Maybe they get out of their short positions to a degree that they're okay and they were able to go long enough. Who knows? But it's good to be prepared. And, the best ways to prepare are in ways that you're going to use the stuff. Don't go just buy stuff to buy it that you're never going to touch. And then, outside of that, it's learning, it's studying, have different hobbies and things like that. So we got Craig's a new member. Congratulations and welcome. And Dan as well. Good to have you guys. Okay, so we're at 91. Let's see if we can get 9 more of you in here. Okay, and if you're watching on your TV, you can pull up your phone and do it that way. Now, I do have a funny story on toilet paper. When we had the pandemic come, I ended up buying this massive box of toilet paper from Costco. I couldn't get any more from, but I went over to a I guess janitorial supply store, and I bought this massive box of it. So we had plenty of toilet paper, but the funny thing is toilet paper should be the least of your concern. I've got friends that have bidets and they love those things, and now they don't use toilet paper anymore. My wife's like, no, we're doing toilet paper. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the most expensive piece of silver I've bought. It's a turtle coin from Fiji, I think. And it's a 1/2 ounce, and it's actually toned a little bit. And it's the most expensive because I was looking up on AppMex when they said that they weren't selling silver if it was under $10,000, which is what their letter said. I know a lot of people said that's not what they're saying. Well, that's what their letter said. So don't send stupid letters if that's not what you mean. But I had to test it out, and I bought this and I couldn't cancel it. So it came. So I paid $51.93 for this 1/2 ounce. That's the most expensive silver I've bought. And then the tax was $4 and the shipping was $9.95. So it came out to be $65.90. So my most expensive piece. Okay, we hit 100. Let's roll this thing. All right, here we go. Myers 0062. So send me an email, StackingSurfer@gmail.com. Take a screenshot of this, attach it, send me your, that way I have your screen name, and then send me your address. Make sure you're subscribed. We do check that. And then remind me that it's for a silver bits. Okay. And that's from the local silver mint, local silver mint. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and roll this over to, let me see if I can figure out how to do it again. We're going to roll this over to a members only stream. And that is going to start in, we'll start that in 5 minutes. All right. Thank you, guys. Uh-oh, people are sad. All right, did it go? Okay, it went. We've got 4 minutes going over. Okay. Let's see. All right, I think we got 5 more minutes we can talk. So if you guys aren't members, you can join real quick to jump over. You can always cancel. And we'll get that started in a minute here. What I'm hoping is we'll have a few of you guys come up to talk, because I'm kind of done talking. I'd rather hear your questions. But we've had too many people joining the call part of it, and we're just not being able to get to everybody on it. And then it just ends abruptly, which has been a problem. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. A couple things I'll just quickly say on here too is this. keep stacking, keep moving money over to gold and silver. If that's what you want to do, I can't tell you to do it, but I don't see any reason not to be doing it. Know that we could see lower prices. I have a hard time believing we're going to go below 50. I have a hard time believing we're going to go below 70. But if we do, we could go down to 50. It's also very possible that what we end up seeing is a situation where it goes even lower from an everything crash, right? But I don't think it's going to be long lived. So, a lot of different things can happen between now and then. I'd continue watching stuff. I think the next month is going to be interesting. I think March is going to be the big month to watch with the COMEX. And then I think all the way up until June is going to be really interesting too. So I think it's April that we get a new Fed chair, but it might be March and then it starts in April. Depending on who is called in for that position, if it ends up being Judy Shelton, I think we're going to see a lot of changes that'll be really good for people that are holding gold and silver. The changes might not necessarily make you rich, but they will be good for people holding gold and silver, and they'll start to help the country. Depending on who we get for the Fed chair is going to determine things. We have some new things with JD Vance talking about, a relationship over with Mexico, and then also our new floor. And 949, thank you again for gifting some more memberships. So we'll throw you up there real quick again too. Okay, so anyway, we got that stuff's coming up. You got to watch out for that because that could definitely change things. This will automatically go over to a member only live, I believe, in 2 minutes. We're testing it out. I don't think we've done it before. So I'm going to bring OC Stacker onto the stream. We just have audio from him. OC, you're muted, but if you unmute, we can hear you.
Give me 2 minutes to finish eating.
Okay, you go back on mute. All right, let's bring this up. This is hugely important. Okay, we have exactly 1.5 minutes to do this. Too many analysts in these PM markets confusing these newbies to death. Some say 40 to 50, and others say 150 to 30. Don't invest to make money. Invest because it's 100 times better than fiat. So, couple things. They're all potentially right. Okay. The 200-day moving average takes us to about 50. So in technical terms, if this is a regular bull run that we have, we should go down and test the 200-day moving average. The higher the price of something that goes and the longer it stays there, it continues to pull that 200-day moving average. It used to be at 30. Okay. It used to be at 20. Now it's at 50. So if we go back over 100 or we go to 150 or 300 and we stay up there for a year, that 200-day moving average is going to, go up to 100 or more. So we could have that happen where it goes down to 50. But for it to go down to 50, you basically have got to have a lot of suppression happening because there is way too much retail demand for it. And we have too many people asking and standing for delivery for the physicals from the ETFs. So I'm doubtful it's going to get all the way down to 50, but it could. Okay. So what I recommend is, and I think this is where faithful card guy is kind of going with this too, is you have to prepare for both. Okay. So what I recommend doing is having